Hello there, everyone. I'm told it's showtime, so let the fun begin. Good day, good evening, everyone. Just making sure you can hear me. Fantastic. Yes. Great. As I said, good day, good evening, everyone. I am Natasha Tomlinson, your Arizona Realtor and host this evening for tonight's webinar. There's no cost. You shouldn't have received any links for anything there. Just trying to provide some information on our Arizona market. And so you understand the options that are available to you. So entitled tonight's webinar is Your Options, Your Equity, Your Future. Now, before we begin, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to all of our veterans and to our military community, our military families. As we know, yesterday was Veterans Day, day before was the Marines' birthday, and just wanted to say that I truly appreciate the courage and dedication and sacrifice that allows us to live and own homes in freedom. So, let's dive in, right? If you own a home in Arizona, whether it is in Anthem, Phoenix, Mesa, Buckeye, or Coolidge, you've probably noticed things are shifting. They're shifting again. Let's make sure we have the proper screen here. I am flying solo, so please bear with me. This is a live event. Great. Yes, yes. As I've mentioned, you've probably noticed some more signs in the yard than a year ago or the year before that. You notice things shifting, right? Prices have cooled slightly. The marketing times, the days on market have been longer. Buyers are definitely being more selective. They have more to choose from, both for existing homes and in new construction. So tonight, we're tackling the top 10 questions that I've received over the last week from Arizona property owners, what people are asking right now. By the end of this webinar, you'll know where values are today, right? Get an idea of what your home is worth today, whether or not now is the right time to sell, what creative options are available to you, both traditional options and creative options available if you choose to sell, and how to protect your equity no matter what the market does. So, how does that sound? Sounds pretty good? Well, sounds good to me. Hopefully, it sounds good to you. Question one: what is my home? What is my property actually worth today? You know, that's the number one question. How's the market? What's my property worth? I would say it's the most asked question that I receive every week. Everyone wants to know, what is my property worth today? So, home values are not determined by Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, your neighbor's Facebook posts. They're determined by four key factors: location, recent comparable sales, in close proximity to your property, marketing times, condition, upgrades, and current demand for your neighborhood, for your area, for your property type. That may have been more than four, but those are the key factors nonetheless. The Arizona median price is sitting in the mid 400,000s. And, that's just an average. Some are selling for less, some are selling for more. And that, again, is single family detached houses. So, as I tell my clients, don't chase last year's price or the price from, a few years ago. We're looking at the prices today. We're chasing today's reality. Overpricing leads to longer days on market and lower final offers. Pricing strategically right from the start actually gets you more money in the end when you factor in the days on market, the time, holding costs. Pricing it right from the start ends up netting you more money. So keep that in mind. This thing has a mind of its own. Okay. All right. So timing the market feels a lot like trying to time the lottery. Most people miss, okay? Although we all buy lottery tickets, whether you buy them religiously or not, there's all these different um games, right? Available for you for a chance to win. But if we understood how to time it, I mean, we wouldn't be talking here tonight, would we? Right now, we're in a bit of a transition market. Inventory across the greater Phoenix metro area is up. The number of homes for sale has increased. Buyer activity has slowed. It has been relatively slow, steady, but slow this year. But it's important to know that motivated buyers are still out there. And what do I mean by the motivated buyer? The buyer that's relocating. We still have plenty of people relocating here from out of state. They're either retiring or they're moving here for jobs, right? Because some other areas are losing jobs and they're coming here. So that's a reason why someone may be motivated to sell. They're motivated because of a life event. Maybe there's a marriage, there's a divorce, there's an addition to the family. Someone they're combining households. We have multi-generational living. There's a number of reasons why someone may be motivated to buy in today's market. And mortgage rates, well, they're bouncing around with every inflation headline. So here's my advice, take it or leave it. Okay. If you plan to sell in the next 6 months because you have a need, you're not just testing the market, you have a need. You need to simplify your life. You need to downsize. You need to relocate. Waiting might cost you more in holding costs and uncertainty. If you are flexible, we can certainly track your neighborhood data together and time your move when momentum picks up. When will momentum pick up? Well, that depends on a number of factors. Those factors being interest rates, inflation, affordability, a number of factors. I looked in my crystal ball and it laughed at me. Okay. I don't know exactly when. And guess what? Neither does anyone else. Okay. The best time to sell isn't when the market says so. It's when it's the right time for you. Question 3. If I sell, what are my tax implications? Now, please know I am not a tax professional. Okay. I am not a legal professional. I'm just going to touch on this topic. And then if you want to investigate further, then I can certainly refer you to someone with a great deal more knowledge than I on this topic. All right. So we're going to touch base on everyone's favorite topic, taxes, right? So, as I mentioned, I am not a CPA, I am not a tax professional, but I will share a few basics to discuss with your tax professional. If you've lived in your home for at least 2 of the last 5 years, and this is your primary residence, you may qualify to exclude up to 250,000 in capital gains if you're single, and up to 500,000 in capital gains if you are married filing jointly. If it is an investment property that you're looking to sell, you might consider a 1031 exchange, which lets you defer capital gains taxes if you roll your proceeds into another investment property. You'll need a qualified intermediary, a QI, to handle that process. which I can certainly refer to you. And for inherited properties, the cost basis resets to the date of death, which can significantly reduce your capital gains when you sell. Now, remember, okay, the main takeaway from all this, right, is to plan ahead before you list the property so you understand what you'll actually walk away with. Hope that's helpful. Great. Question 4. What other options exist? What non-traditional options exist, especially if I am behind on my mortgage, right? That was another popular question this week. And this is where the conversation it gets a little interesting, right? And a little hopeful. Okay. If you are behind on your mortgage, and of course it depends on where the value is, the property today versus how much you owe and how far behind you are in payments and lots of other factors. But generally speaking, if you are behind on your mortgage or you don't fit the traditional sale model, yes, you have options. And here are a few. You have the instant cash offer, quick closing, no hassle, no muss, no fuss, right? Possible to close in a couple of days, couple of weeks, right? Depending. You have the exact wrap or owner carryback, and that help you find buyers who can't qualify for traditional loans, right? Usually because they haven't been employed for a long period of time, or they haven't been self-employed a lot of times for long periods of time, or there's been a change in industry. There's a number of reasons while someone may want to do an owner carryback instead of doing a conventional loan, a VA loan, an FHA loan. Nothing wrong with those options. You just have to understand those particulars. Another option is the rent to own option, the lease option, which these let you generate monthly income or just covering your monthly expenses while giving the tenant time to purchase the property. Each of these, of course, has pluses and minuses. Each has trade offs. Some give you more control and others give you speed, but all of them can help you protect your equity and avoid foreclosure. Now, if you are in a tight spot, all right, you're behind on your mortgage, you have an auction date, please do not wait to reach out. Okay. Let's talk before the bank wants to talk to you. Okay. All right. Sides have a mind of their own today. Let's make sure we advancing. Yay. Now, let's talk a few numbers, right? As of now, it is November 2025. And we have some cities that are in buyer's market, some cities that are in balance, and some that are slightly in the seller's favor, right? Buyer's markets tend to be there's more properties for sale than there are people looking in those areas. And they tend to be the areas where there's more new home construction, but there's also existing construction like Goodyear, Maricopa, Buckeye, Casa Grande, Surprise, Apache Junction, Queen Creek, to name a few. The balanced and sellers markets tend to be closer to employment centers, right? So Phoenix, Mesa, Glendale, those areas tend to be more balanced. We have seen an increase in the days on market. The marketing times have definitely increased before getting that contract. And we are seeing more sellers offering concessions to help the buyer with their closing costs and to help buy down those interest rates. So, as a home seller, what does that mean for you? It means that pricing correctly, presentation, right? Condition, showcasing the property in its best light, and patience are everything. Homes that are priced right and show well Sell pretty quickly rather than sit. Okay. So if you're interested, yes, you can request, a market report for your property, see where things lie. It doesn't cost you anything. There's no obligation to do so. I'll make sure to put the link in the chat so you guys can reach out if you see fit. Question 6. How do interest rates affect me? Okay. Well, interest rates right now, they're hovering around, they change daily, right? They change several times a day, really. But depending on the loan type and things, average interest rate is right now sitting around 6.3, 6.4%. If you're selling, remember this: high rates do not stop buyers. They just they change their expectation. If someone is looking to move, they need to make a move. They're not going to suddenly not have to make a move, all right? They're just going to change their expectation, meaning we have to change the way your property stands out. Some suggestions will be highlighting an offer for an interest rate buy down to make payments more affordable for the buyer. That is enticing. That is something we're seeing a lot of the new home communities do. Another option would be to offer creative financing, especially if you own the home free and clear. Maybe you want to create a lease purchase opportunity, owner carryback opportunity, or if you don't own it free and clear, but you have quite a bit of equity, you would provide a wrap opportunity. So you're giving this the person opportunity to get ready to purchase, right? I've seen these terms be 6 months, a year, 5 years. Really, it's all part of the negotiation. Another way to have that property stand out would be the assumable mortgage, and particularly with VA loans and FHA loans. And those are gold right now, particularly if that interest rate is low in the twos, threes, fours. People get pretty excited about that. So if you're staying put, remember to talk to your lender about refinance options. Okay. Home equity lines of credit, HELOCs, while rates are relatively stable and trending down. So, what other factors, some local factors that could impact your value? All right. So, we talked a little bit about location, we talked a bit about property condition, market trends right now, interest rates, right? So, what other factors? Those factors would be homeowners association, water quality, solar, pests like termites. These can also impact your value. Well, welcome to Arizona, right? Land of the sunshine, scorpions, and HOAs. So let's be real. Local factors can make or break your sale a lot of times. HOAs, homeowners associations, make sure your dues and the rules you're aware are current. Buyers ask about them pretty soon in the process. As far as water is concerned, water, we live in the desert, right? But the reality is that our state, our Department of Water Resources has really been pretty proactive in our approach to addressing any water issues today and in the future. And there's a number of sites that you can go to stay on top of that and understand where Arizona is with their water, what different avenues are being taken to make sure that we ensure we have water available in the future. So if that's a concern of yours, I can certainly provide that information as well. Solar. Solar is another challenge at times. If it's owned outright, the solar system, no challenge, right? It's a gift almost. There is value that's added to the property, but the next buyer doesn't have to go through the hassle of dealing with that. It's already paid for. You have no electric bill, or possibly depending on your usage, you could have a small electric bill, but there is value depending on um, how much wattage is associated with those panels and how much it offsets your usage, the age of the panels, things of that nature. Now, if those panels are leased, there is zero value associated with that when it comes time to appraise the property. Please be aware of that. Okay. I've heard a number of conversations take place. You get nothing, goose egg, zero, zilch, nada. Okay. On a solar lease. Um, and companies vary what those terms are, um, what it takes for the next buyer to assume that solar lease. If there's a buyout, what that buyout is. It's important to read the fine print. Termites and scorpions. If you've had a termite inspection in the last year, well, get one again before listing the property. It shows that you care about maintenance. And the fact remains that we have a lot of people relocating here from out of state. They hear termites and they think, oh my God, the house is getting ready to fall down. And really, the saying in Arizona goes, if you don't have termites, you will, just because they live in the soil, right? So it's just something to be aware of and contend with. And treatments are pretty easy. There's a number of companies that can get that done for you at relatively low cost. Ultimately, transparency builds trust, and trust brings stronger offers. Question 8. Should I just rent out my property instead of selling it? Maybe you've had thoughts of being an investor, landlord, having that passive income. And I would ask you to define passive, right? Because it's not as easy as just getting a check in the mail. A lot of times there is some more action and work costs involved. So we factor in all those costs and see if it really is what you thought it would, right? So a lot of homeowners are asking this in 2025. Rates are higher. Some decide to rent out their property, be kind of accidental landlords instead of selling. And renting, it can make sense. It can be the start of your real estate investing journey, but it is not for everyone. So let's break down some pros and cons. Pros are monthly income, right? Who doesn't like getting money coming in on a consistent basis? It sounds great, doesn't it? Then you have the potential appreciation of the property on top of the monthly cash flow. You have tax deductions, so definitely a plus. Some of the cons are maintenance costs. You have to be prepared for those costs. Cost to the property management company if you decide to take that avenue. Tenant turnover, right? Could also be a concern. And getting the right tenant in place, because the wrong tenant could be big headaches. It's very crucial to run the numbers carefully. Make sure you factor in your mortgage if you do have one, any other costs like insurance, homeowners associations, maintenance, especially if you have a lawn that needs to be cared for, a pool that needs to be cared for. uh, Maybe put a home warranty on the property and make sure that if there's any major events with any of the critical systems, that is covered. Just all of these things when you get that rent estimate to make sure that your expenses are covered, to see if you have positive cash flow or negative cash flow. And if you're comfortable being a landlord, hey, it may just be worth it. And if not, a sale could really free up your equity, and ultimately it could free up your peace of mind, right? Less gray hairs. Ruh-roh, this thing is, come on, don't be that way. Thank you. Next question. Should I fix up the property before selling? Should I renovate it before selling? Well, I get this question pretty often. Should I update the kitchen? What do you think about this countertop granite versus quartz? Or should we leave carpet in the bedrooms? Or should we have vinyl or laminate throughout LVP throughout the home? What colors should we paint? What about exterior paint and landscaping and a number of things? Or is it worth it to just sell it as is? So you spend $1 if it makes you $3 back. It's worth it, right? Dollar for a dollar, not so much. In today's market, costs to improve have also increased. We focus on the small things that will make a big impact, right? Fresh, neutral paint inside and outside of the home. Maybe some curb appeal, meaning adding some color, some fresh flowers, fresh plants, Arizona plants, aloe and agave towards the front of the property. Updating light fixtures and hardware. So, brass is in when compared to nickel or stainless steel or what have you. So we're seeing those changes. We're seeing an evolution now in light fixtures and other fixtures and hardware throughout the home. Simple landscaping, clean, okay, is paramount. All right. Um, Clean landscaping, clean floors, clean home, decluttered, light staging. And the staging shouldn't be an overwhelming smell or overwhelming room, but just really showing what is possible in the space. And that can be done in person, and a lot of times it can be done virtually. It is inexpensive and pretty powerful. Buyers want move in ready, not over designed, overstaged, cluttered homes. Do not overspend right before you move. Moving in itself is expensive. And I can certainly help you prioritize what's actually worth spending your dollars on. Question 10. What if my sale is tied to a life event? I mean, aren't they all? It may not be a major life event, but it's major to you. A move is a big deal. Life happens. And often that's what drives a sale, whether you want to disclose it or not. I mean, it's what drives the sale. You may be relocating for work, possibly going through a divorce. Maybe the property has been inherited, or you're just tired of being a landlord. The rental property, it isn't what you thought it would be, and you need to move on to other things. Each situation has unique challenges and also unique opportunities. Divorce, for instance, clear communication and fair division of any proceeds keeps things smoothly. Probate or inherited property, estate sales. Timely paperwork is key, and coordinating with your attorney early is also a key factor. Relocating. We can certainly align your sale with your company's relocation timeline and benefits. And if you happen to be a tired landlord, you had this vision, it didn't own up to what you thought it was, you're ready to offload this property. We can sell the property vacant or occupied, or sell it to an investor and even structure a rent to own to transition it smoothly, right? Whatever your reasons for selling are, you deserve clarity, control, and ultimately, you don't deserve any pressure. Now, let's see what questions have come about. Awesome. There it is. I had a feeling. All right. I'll get into it. Why not? All right, here we go. Oh, okay. First things first. When should a homeowner consider refinancing? Oh, right now rates are mid sixes, mid to low sixes. Refinancing, you know, it may or may not make sense yet. Refinancing makes sense if it lowers your monthly payment, um, if it shortens your loan term, and helps you access equity for smart purposes like home improvements, and in some cases, debt consolidation. In today's Arizona market, in the greater Phoenix market, rates are fluctuating, and it's smart to run the numbers before deciding, right? Refinancing too soon without a clear goal can cost more money in the long run. Okay. Our next question. What happens if I'm behind on my mortgage? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that question. Again, a common question this week. If you're behind on your mortgage, ultimately don't ignore it. Okay. Depending on whether how many payments you are behind, or whether you have an auction date yet, it's important to really act fast and to respond to your lender. Your lender has a number of programs available. They have loan modification, loan workout programs, forbearance programs that can really help you avoid foreclosure. Communication is key. Here in Arizona, once you have an auction date, things move fairly quickly. So it's really crucial to reach out to your lender. And we can certainly have an appointment to go over things in more detail and see what's going on there, and how what steps you should take. Know that you do have options, regard whether you want to say you want to rent out the property, keep the property, sell the property. There are options before the bank decides to foreclose and take it back. So we can certainly discuss those options, free, no obligation, really just to address your concerns and send you on the right path. Okay. Here, yes. All right, I'm getting to it. Here's here's the question. The 50-year mortgage. Yes, 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 yes. What do I think about it? Listen. I Listen, there are a number of mortgage options, okay? 50-year, 40-year, 30-year, 20-year, 15-year. There are creative options, on 3-year, 5-year with a balloon at the end where you refinance. There's fixed rates, there's adjustable rate mortgages. Ultimately, you, the person who's taking out the mortgage, need to look at the pros and cons of what is being presented to you. Some pros of the 50-year mortgage would be lower monthly payments, right? If you are payment conscious, then that could be an option for you. It would make the home more affordable in the short term if you're looking just at the payment, okay? And it could be easier cash flow for those with you have other financial priorities, right? And who doesn't have other financial priorities? But there's good and bad with everything. And for the con for the 50-year mortgage is it can take longer to build equity, right? Um you'll pay much more in interest over the life of the loan. And right now, we don't see a lot of lenders offering the 40-year option. I'm not sure what we're going to see, who's going to offer that 50-year option. And I would anticipate interest rates being a bit higher for that option, as people are, as the lender, it's not a charity. They're in it to make money. That rates will probably be a bit higher there as well. But we will see, right? Stay tuned. Okay. Another question, is now a good time to sell in Arizona? And I'm going to say it depends. It depends. It depends on your goals as a homeowner. It depends on your equity position. It depends on where you're located. It depends on the condition of the property. As of now, late 2025, we're seeing some of our Arizona cities in a buyer's market. We're seeing some balance since we have more homes for sale on the resale side and more homes for sale in new construction. If you've owned your home for, say, 7 or more years, and you've built significant equity in the home, right? Even if you've owned it a short term, but you've made some upgrades and you've built significant equity in the home, now could be a great time to reposition that asset and prepare for your next purchase, your next move. Now, can you sell your home if you owe more than the property is worth? And the answer is it depends. Okay. And there's options, meaning you have the loan assumption option, you have the rent to own seller financing option, you have the short sale. Each option has pros and cons, tax implications, and you really need professional guidance to walk you through it, understand what your buying power is in the future, how that's affected, how your credit is affected. So let's make sure we're across a few different platforms, make sure I have addressed all questions this evening that I see so far. Fantastic. Make sure I put my link in here for you. Yes, no, maybe. Very good. Okay. So all that to say that Arizona's real estate market is changing. Opportunity is abound. There's opportunity out there. You've worked hard for your home. You worked for your equity, and now the mission is to protect that equity. Just remember, you have options, you have equity, you have a future, regardless of what your financial situation may look like today. If you would like a custom home valuation, a market timing analysis, just a strategy about where your next move could look like, feel free to book that free consultation right after tonight's session. During that time, you'll get a free personalized net sheet. You'll get a breakdown of your area, and you'll get a clear step-by-step strategy for selling or possibly holding the property. Ultimately, I just wanted to say thank you for joining me tonight. Again, I am Natasha Tomlinson, and I see you right here next Wednesday for our next topic, your options, your equity, your future. Right. So next week will be more towards home buying versus home selling. So we switch off either week. Until then, stay tuned, stay empowered, and remember, your home is more than a property. It is your next chapter. Thank you again, and good night.